Hey everybody, this is Stratagem, and today I want to talk about My Little Pony: A New Generation, the movie. So this is going to be a review, and before we get into that, there are a few parameters I think we need to address. First and foremost, obviously, this is a review, so there are going to be spoilers. Therefore, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you probably should do that first. Next, I'll try not to have any speculation on what happened between G4 and G5, who might still be alive, who is most definitely dead, why is everything the way it is. All that speculative stuff I will do maybe several additional videos afterwards, but this review is going to be just about what actually happened in the movie and not what might have happened in between. Therefore, I will also try not to criticize anything that might be seen as a discontinuity or a logical break between G4 and G5. This is just the movie on its own merits. Again, the nitpicky stuff between G4 and G5, that'll be later. And finally, when judging the movie, there are two things that we need to keep in mind. One, at the end of the day, it's a movie for kids, so we have to judge it as one. Some things will be kinda oversimplified and glossed over, that is just what it is. I mean, what's next? You're gonna complain that an R-rated movie is not suitable for your toddler? Yeah, well, who would have thunk? It's not meant to be, so yeah. And also, since we know that a G5 show is coming up sometime next year, I will also keep that in mind, so I'm not gonna harp on the things that were unexplained in the movie. I'm just gonna assume that most of the loose ends will be addressed in the upcoming G5 show. So yeah, I'm gonna give the movie a bit of leeway in that regard. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to reviewing. Let's start with the presentation. So, graphics, designs, animation, music. And out of that, we're gonna start with music. So Daniel Ingram is no longer the composer for this movie rather, but the new team is definitely doing a pretty good job here. It took a while for the songs to grow on me, but I think most of them are pretty decent, with even the worst songs being okay. Not bad, not offensive, just okay. So let's go through the songs in order. The first one is Gonna Be My Day, performed by Sunny. It's a fast and upbeat song, showing us how most of the Earth ponies in Maritime Bay view the world around them, especially the other pony races, and contrasting that with Sunny's views, establishing her as a very positive, idealist character, whilst also foreshadowing that she's a bit of an outsider in Maritime Bay due to her opinions. And with this catchy song, I think we're off to a pretty good start. Next up is I'm Looking Out For You, performed by Sunny and Izzy, in which our two main characters have a bit of bonding and use the magic of song to fast travel across Equestria. The differences in their characters are also highlighted once again, with Izzy being more scatterbrained and Sunny overall being more thoughtful and methodical. This is then followed by the most atypical song of the movie, and I dare say the most atypical song for the franchise so far. It's Angry Mob, Sprout's villain song, so to speak, which is very grunge inspired, giving off a strong Nirvana vibe, which is definitely not something you expect out of a My Little Pony movie. The lyrics are a little bit very on the nose, but then again, villain songs tend to be pretty direct. The song also features some pretty nice visuals, and headbanging ponies will always be funny to me. Whilst I personally like the song quite a bit, I can see it probably being the most divisive song, as some people might not like the style, or because they might be bothered by the very on the nose lyrics. But hey, this is my review and I do like the song. Also, I do appreciate that we get songs of various different genres in the movie. Next up is Pip's song, Glowin' Up, which is the most poppy song, I want to say. It is slower paced than the songs by Izzy and Sunny. I have to say that I don't really have much of an opinion on it. The song feels like it has the least purpose in the movie, as it's literally an in-universe, on-stage performance, and as such serves more as a backdrop for the action that's happening. Still, the lyrics seem to at least somewhat apply to the situation of the Pegasi. I'm struggling a little bit with this song because it is just very pop music-y, and that's just something that I'm neither familiar with, nor do I care overly much about. This is the kind of music that I expect to hear if I were to turn on the radio. I don't hate it, I think it has quite some earworm qualities, but I don't have very strong emotions about it. So yeah, let's move on to the next song, which is the last real song of the movie, Fit Right In, performed by Izzy with support from the rest of the main five. It's another fast and upbeat song, kinda exposition heavy, but overall very fun. It's nice that both Hitch and Sunny get their own verses in the song, and yeah, this is another very enjoyable song. And then Izzy starts rapping, and I'm cringing quite a bit every single time because it's rap. There is no way to make rap not cringy. That's a fact. But yeah, genre misgivings aside, this is another very fun, enjoyable and catchy song. Well, I called Fit Right In the last real song. That means there is one unreal song, and that is the song from the trailer, the one played during the dancing contest. It's called It's Alright. It's performed by some weird background choir and none of the characters. Now, I had no strong feelings about Glowin' Up, but this song I have absolutely no emotions about. If you told me that this is an actual pop song and Hasbro just bought a license for it and slammed it into the movie because, then I would totally believe you. It's a giant nothing burger. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the song, but there's also absolutely nothing right with it. It just happens. It's a little bit of a letdown for a final song, but then again, I consider Fit Right In to be the actual last song, and It's Alright is just some background music and one scene, so whatever. Overall, pretty good song selection. The songs are pretty catchy, cover various genres, and for the most part they do serve a purpose in the story, so no complaints here. I dare say that I kinda like this soundtrack better than the one of the 2017 movie, which did have the vastly superior villain song with Open Up Your Eyes, but also had some pretty mediocre stuff. And of course the completely useless shoehorned in song by Sia. So overall, thumbs up for the A New Generation music here. Let's move on to the visuals. And I think this is a section that we can cut really short. I'll just have Pip sum it up for me.
It is gorgeous!
Okay, let's do a little bit more. Let's start with the models. The character models are all really nice. We have a lot more variety in the designs. The different pony races all have slightly different builds and features on them, with the unicorns being the tallest, Pegasi being the smallest, Pegasi having more sharp angles, whilst the unicorns have very rounded shapes on them. Pegasi also all have differently looking wings. The horns of the unicorns have a bit more unique details to them. Even among the background ponies there are a lot more different body types. All of the main characters have unique models. This is all way more varied than it was in G4. A lot less clones, so definitely a massive improvement. The animation is really fluid, really smooth, really well made. It's almost Pixar level. Not quite, but I'd say at least DreamWorks level. So really, really good. If you compare that to the absolute awful CGI that we had in the 2017 movie once again, I mean, look at that. That looks like it was rendered on a PlayStation 2. What the hell? So this is really a massive step forward, and I hope that they can keep this up for the TV show. We'll see, but this is looking really good. Same goes for the backgrounds. I mean, just look at this. Really cool, very detailed, absolutely stunning looking. There isn't much to say. It looks really, really good. Now, since we already touched on the character models, let's talk about the characters themselves. Beginning with our lead character, Sunny. She's a typical protagonist, very positive, very idealistic. Like Twilight in G4, she seems to be someone who is planning things, really thinking them through. She also seems to have some interest in history and researching history, seeing by all the various drawings and knickknacks she has from the olden times, that is Ancient Equestria, that is G4, much of which she probably inherited from her father, who was a historian. But unlike Twilight, she's not a nerdy bookworm who kind of eschews social contacts, but rather she was pushed into a bit of an outsider role due to her opinions being unconventional. Overall, I like her. She seems like a capable leader character who, and this is going to be an important point for all the characters, is different enough from Twilight to not be a rehash of her. Next up is Izzy, the only unicorn in the group, and so far the character who is closest to one of the G4 ponies, and that is Pinkie Pie in her case. She too has this very bubbly, very energetic, kind of unfocused, easily distracted, scatterbrained personality type that Pinkie had. And she even also comes from a community that is rather, well, boring as rocks, so she didn't exactly fit in. However, there are quite a few differences here. One is, while Pinkie didn't fit in all that great on the rock farm, she still had a very good relation to her family, despite the differences. Izzy, however, her cottage seems to be pretty far removed from the rest of the village. She does not participate in the other unicorns' superstitious traditions, and overall she appears to be a massive outcast, way more than Sunny. Like when she mentioned that she never got to use her tea set with actual friends, kinda implies that she doesn't have any friends, further underlined by there being a birthday card that she wrote to herself. So while there are some similarities with Pinky, there are also some massive differences, and I think that Izzy's background is more tragic, more sad than Pinky's, who, despite her differences, still fit in and got along with her family rather well. And that does not seem to be the case for Izzy, so that might be pretty interesting to explore. The other vast difference is, of course, that the other unicorns of Bridalwood are probably gonna be, well, less like that in the future, so things might change up. So, whilst Izzy overall feels the closest to her direct G4 counterpart, she's still not a one-to-one Pinkie Pie copy. Oddly enough, she also seems to have some aspects from Rarity, as seen by her spookily good craftsmanship in crafting the decoy crown and the fake unicorn horns, her unicycling projects in her home, and I guess she also made that weird tea flower herself. So, no Pinkie Pie party planning, and rather a mixture of Rarity and MacGyver. That is something. That is dangerous. Overall, I do like Izzy, and I think that she has a lot of inherent potential for future story arcs, so kinda curious to see what the future will have in store for her. Next we have Hitch, Sunny's childhood friend, and he obviously replaces Fluttershy. He's yellow, good with animals, can't fly. And also his personality is nothing like Fluttershy's. He's bold, he's confident, he's got quite a bit of an ego going on there, and whilst he didn't have as much screen time as Izzy or Sunny, he is on several levels probably the most interesting character in the movie. Let's start with the meta point. He is the first male main character of a My Little Pony series. That is not a thing that existed before. Yeah, G1, G3 and G4 had Spike, but he has never been one of the main cast. It doesn't help that he's not a pony. So Hitch is actually the first male pony main character. That's a novelty. But also our sheriff here is the only one of the main characters who kind of had a bit of a story arc in the movie. The rest of the main five stay mostly static. Hitch, however, he clearly is the one with the most prejudice against the other races. Izzy and Sunny are obviously very open. Zip and Pip also don't seem to mind the other races. Zip actually seems positively excited when she first met Sunny and Izzy. But Hitch, on the other hand, pretty much starts out as a product of the society that he grew up in. That means that he is very well integrated into society. He is the sheriff of Maritime Bay after all, and he flat out believes and accepts the common stereotypes that he has been taught about the other races. So he actually has to overcome his biases and grow as a character. And well, he's the only one to do that in the movie, since, well, the whole racism plot is the plot of the movie, and the others start out in varying degrees of openness, so they can't really grow in that regard, but Hitch can, which definitely has him being the most dynamic character. Him being a sheriff also helps in that regard, as he starts out pretty, well, the law is the law, and Sunny, if you continue screwing up things, then we can't be friends anymore. Which is a bit harsh, but yeah, well, he is the law, and he can't be associating with someone who is, well, technically a criminal. So tough choice, but he starts out on the more law and order side of things. And whilst he obviously doesn't want to ditch Sunny, he's definitely seriously contemplating it. But again, by the end, he comes around, changes his opinion, and he doesn't even try to arrest her once they get back to Maritime Bay, so that's progress. I have the hardest time in pinpointing him to a G4 character. I don't think we can. Yeah, he has those critter abilities like Fluttershy, and he's got the confidence and ego of Rainbow Dash, but he doesn't seem to have that coolness and athleticism and competitiveness. So he seems to be very much his own thing, just too removed from the previous generation, which in my opinion makes him possibly the most interesting character so far. So I'm definitely really curious to see where his journey is going. Well, I mentioned Rainbow Dash, so let's talk about Rainbow Dash 2.0, Zip. Well, that is, we don't really know if she is Rainbow Dash 2.0. Yeah, she's got that tomboyish thing going on, and she's a Pegasus, and she appears to be quite confident, but that's it. She and her sister are the two main characters that we know the least of. We spent the least time with them, and, well, they do the least in the movie. Zip seems to kind of follow the rebellious princess trope, but she also seems to have a slight interest in history, and there's that whiteboard with all the formulas written down in the Zephyr Heights station thing, so maybe she's also our Twilight replacement, that she's actually the book-smart character? Who knows? All I can say for now is that I kinda like her design. I mean, she is a Pegasus with a white coat. Remind you of someone? And also her mane looks like toothpaste, which is fancy, I guess. I'm sorry, that's not much, but I feel like I have to defer judgment on her for the time being. There just wasn't enough of her in the movie to really judge her. And the same kind of goes for her younger sister Pip. She doesn't really do much, so I can only judge her by being very, very small and an influencer. Yeah, Pip is an influencer, a pop star, and a princess, all in one. I have no idea what to make of that. It's just a combination of things that, oh boy, it makes me worried. It makes me really worried, but for the time being, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. She was nowhere near as annoying as I feared she would be, so we'll see how she will fare in the actual show. The last character I want to touch upon is our antagonist/villain Sprout. He starts off kinda similarish to Hitch, except more cowardly, less competent, and due to his mother, quite a bit more xenophobic. And his path to becoming the villain of the movie is, well, not all that unrealistic. He finally gets the chance to be in a position of power, one that he is not really suited for, and immediately goes mad with power. Well, that's a thing that happens. Now, just like everyone in this world, except for our main characters, he has this xenophobic, in the truest sense of the word, upbringing. He is worried about the unicorns and the Pegasi, because that is just what he has been taught. He truly believes that the other races pose a threat to him and his. So after the quote-unquote unicorn attack, and with him being in charge, he does something that is kind of understandable, and that is he tries to eliminate the threat. Now we know that the threat wasn't actually a real threat, and he kind of goes overboard with his giant mech, but while the details are over the top, the main premise is kinda believable. Now I called Sprout a villain/antagonist earlier, and that is because on multiple levels I do not see him as a proper villain. Because for the most part his motivations aren't evil nonsense like conquering the world or some bullshit. Yeah, sure, he likes having the power of being the sheriff and, well, later the emperor, but I don't think that he has much bigger aspirations. He doesn't want to go out and conquer the world or anything. And his attack plans, while evil, they come from a position of, I believe, genuine fear. Xenophobia in the meaning of the word. Fear of the unknown, fear of the foreign. So whilst he does go completely over the top, I don't see this happening from a position of genuine evil, so I'm not gonna call him a villain. Just a very misguided antagonist. And as I said earlier for Hitch, pretty much a product of his society. It also helps that he's kind of a wuss and highly incompetent, so can't really take him serious as a villain. Now, speaking of villain or not, this segues into the storyline of the movie, and, well, did the movie need a character as a villain? Was it necessary? I kinda feel no. I don't think it was necessary. I get it, they wanted to have a bit of action for the finale. To me it feels kind of unnecessary. Could have left out the giant robot and all that jazz and do something different. I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like the movie didn't really need a villain. And I'm glad they didn't go for like one character or a group of characters who is behind everything. All the antagonists and fake antagonists, the three village leaders, Queen Haven, Alphabettle and Phyllis, Cloverleaf, none of them were proper villains. Cloverleaf was probably the most evil one, as she is the military-industrial complex. She is outright profiteering from Pony's fears, but she is not responsible for them. She, like everyone else, is a product of their society, and she seemed genuinely worried about the other races, and genuinely surprised when finding out that they weren't actually a threat. So all the crap that Canterlogic did build, I think that she actually thought she was doing the right thing. So, not a villain, just misguided. Queen Haven, who I expected to be the villain, because of her design and the fact that she's a queen in a cartoon, pretty much didn't do anything wrong. The whole act with the royals are the only Pegasi who can fly, I do believe that she was sincere when she said, we're doing this to give the others hope and confidence and some sort of reassurance that not everything is terrible. I think that she had good intentions. Now, of course, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but hey. And she too was clueless as to what was going on. She just found the situation and was living with it. She was not perpetuating anything, she wasn't spinning anything, except for the fake flying. She just did what she felt she had to do. And Alphabettle, He's just some guy gambling. He isn't even the leader or anything. There is nothing wrong with him. In that regard, you could call all of the leaders to be victims of circumstance, of the status quo. You might go as far and say that even Sprout was one of these victims of circumstance, and yeah, he kind of was. He was of course the one character who went completely overboard with the situation, but he too was not responsible for being in that situation in the first place, which kind of is the other moral of the story. Well, one of the morals of the story, because there is more than one. On first glance, obviously, it's the very clear and simple message that racism bad. But there are more themes here. One is being the victim of circumstance thing that I mentioned, that people kind of are what their environment, what society makes them. Everyone's preconceptions, beliefs, be they good, be they bad, they don't fall from the sky. We all are who we are because of both our experiences and the things we were taught. And if people are taught bullshit, well, that can have bad consequences. So I think that is one of the themes here. Don't just note that people are terrible, ask yourself why are they terrible and can you maybe change that? Which kind of fits in with the whole racism thing. Hey, maybe find out why people are that way. But I don't want to delve on any of this political nonsense here. And the final major theme I see here is don't take everything at face value. Don't just listen to the first thing you're told. Kinda how Sunny and Argyle did. The common belief among the ponies in Maritime Bay was that they have always been enemies with the other pony kinds, and that's just the way it is, like Hitch said. But instead of believing that, Argyle did his own research and found that maybe it's not that. So yeah, besides racism bad and everyone is a product of the circumstances, this is the third theme. Maybe don't believe everything you are told. Maybe use your brain for once. Dang it, I kinda wanted to talk about the story, but now I talked more about themes and the moral. Well, at least we got that out of the way. So, story real quick. The plotline is basic. The hero's journey. Let's find the MacGuffins to fix everything. Yeah, really very straightforward. When Izzy and Sunny meet, they have to flee the city. Sunny realizes Izzy doesn't have magic and hey, we want to bring back magic and that will probably fix everything. They learn about the crystals and then we go find the crystals. A very simple basic storyline. Which, well, it's only a 90-minute movie and it's for kids, so there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong and what I have to criticize, so we're finally going to criticizing things that are not good about the movie, and that's the pacing, especially in the end. The pacing in the final act kinda doesn't work anymore. After acquiring both the Pegasus and the Unicorn Crystal, they pop them together and nothing happens. No one could have expected that, especially not the Earth Pony. Yes, our main character is an Earth Pony. Were you not wondering why there is only 2 crystals? You really should have wondered. You should have thought that there might be 3 crystals. You just assumed, oh well, Earth Ponies don't have magic so they don't have a crystal. Well, you obviously thought wrong. Personally, I think it's a bit weird that she didn't even start to think that there might be 3 crystals for the 3 races. Where things really start to become a bit plot-holy and weirdly paced is after confronting Sprout, when suddenly everyone appears in Maritime Bay. I mean, Izzy I can believe, sure, why wouldn't she? Now, Alphabettle following her? I don't know, he didn't follow her the first time. But Zip, Pip and Queen Haven, as well as part of the Royal Guard, wasn't Queen Haven under arrest? And weren't Zip and Pip also supposed to be arrested? That was resolved really quick off-screen. I mean, the guards were there when we saw them last time, so we can assume that they were escorted back to Zephyr Heights. But no, they are just free to go now, and they even have an actual escort this time to escort them and not throw them into jail. How did that happen? That is really badly paced, and I think that is something that we could have spent some time on. Maybe don't do the Sprout plot and instead have the royal family in Zephyr Heights, have them talk to the actual governing body, because, well, obviously Queen Haven is not the actual ruler and she's just a figurehead. Maybe have them talk these things through, have them be like, hey, no one has magic, everyone's kind of screwed and maybe there is a way we can fix this. That would have probably been better. But no, they didn't do that and it kind of comes off as weird. But not as weird as both Alphabettle and Queen Haven bringing the crystals with them. I mean, Queen Haven I could understand if that thing was still in her crown. But it wasn't. She was just carrying the Pegasus crystal around like that. Just the crystal without the crown. And Alphabettle, that makes no sense. Why did he bring the crystal? The answer is plot convenience. And this is why I think that maybe not having a villain or having the movie be a bit longer to show some extra scenes in Bridalwood and Zephyr Heights where Izzy, Pip and Zip try to convince the others to actually give them the crystals and find Sunny again and maybe try it again, maybe try to find out what went wrong, try to fix the situation. Because when they first tried to combine the two crystals and it didn't work, you could really see that the Pegasi guards and the Bridalwood unicorns, all of them, they were kinda excited about this. They didn't believe that it would work, but there was still a certain degree of anticipation. They wanted this to work. They wanted their magic back. Honestly, they probably could have been convinced to give it another shot. But alas, that opportunity was squandered, and that is really pretty much the worst part of the movie. Which, less than ideal solution for the end and a bit rushed. Does this make the movie bad? Well, no, not really. It detracts from the quality. Yes, the movie could have been better. Yes, but the weak and rushed ending aside, it was still pretty enjoyable. It was still a good movie. For a kids movie, I have definitely seen worse. I have seen better too, but I've seen worse. I have seen way worse. This is definitely above average. And to make the comparison that has to be done, this movie was better than the 2017 MLP movie. Just flat out better. It felt more focused since there were a lot less characters running around, being important and then not being important and disappearing and reappearing and whatever. Let's be real, the 2017 movie, I enjoyed it, it was fun, but boy, there were a lot of characters and the plot was meandering, then rushing, then meandering, then rushing. Things were a lot worse paced, the villain was a lot worse, and definitely A New Generation was better than My Little Pony, the movie, 2017. And even without that comparison, just on its own, I think that this was a good movie. Not outstanding, this is not a 10 out of 10, this is not the best movie ever, obviously, but I think it was really solid. It is definitely a kids movie that parents can watch without getting an aneurysm, which that is already high praise. And overall, it was a pretty fun romp that has me positively optimistic for the G5 series. And finally, this is how I approached this movie. Let's be real, G4 was kinda lightning in a bottle. A lot of things came together that made G4 a really good show. Way better than it had any right to be. The previous generations of MLP were of varying quality. And when I say varying quality, I mean it went from average for the time, with the original series, to a complete disaster in 3.5. So G4 had no right to be as good as it was. But it was. They hired some competent people, they gave them an acceptable budget to work with, and then G4 went on for 9 seasons, and over 100 comics, and a theatrical released movie, and 2 specials, and a spin-off show, and then another spin-off show. So G4 was very successful. But G5 could just as easily go back to being terrible again. But it didn't. Now at this point it would be completely stupid to say, oh, G5 is better than G4, or no, it's worse than G4. That's bullshit. We can't say that at this point. G4 had an entire, almost 10-year run of a TV show and all that other stuff. G5 had 1 movie so far, which was pretty much a prelude or premiere to the upcoming TV show. So really, we can't compare them. But at least this movie was better than the previous one. So for now, I am optimistic for the upcoming G5 TV series, and that is really all that I was hoping for. If I had to rate it, I think I would put it somewhere between a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Probably closer to a 7, maybe a 7.3, something like that. I'm not sure. It is so hard to judge these things, it's pretty much impossible to judge these things objectively. But overall, it was good. It was better than I expected, and at the end of the day, that's what counts. As always, I have been Stranger Jam, thanks for watching, and see ya next time.